We're moving on to a different a different science fiction
Yes!
franchise. On to
Go to
the.
Captain Seth.
Yeah. Captain McFarland, who
Yes.
actually played it very well.
He's a very good actor in general. I mean, people give him too much crap for only doing comedy.
Yeah. And
He's okay. McFarlane.
I think that was the problem with the reception of this series because the Fox made it out to be, oh, this is a comedy series. So everybody was looking for it to be straight comedy, which it's not.
Yeah,
And
it's
so
It's something that
it,
has comedy, but it also has structure.
yeah, and so they were seriously disappointed because this isn't all fun and games. What are you talking about?
it's
It's
a bit
got
like if the next.
McFarlane's. Oh, yeah, it's got McFarlane's tendency towards social commentary.
Well,
Exactly. And it's well done with that.
it's a bit like if the outtakes and the sort of cast of TNG were actually included in the show itself. Because if you've heard about, if you've ever heard interviews with the Next Generation crew, it's like, yes, it was really it was stiff at first, but once we got going, once they got going, it got really funny on set. Like the jokes were, you know, pranks and all sorts of. It was they were darn near
And they're
unmanageable. You just sort of had to roll
and
with
the
what.
comfort that they built up with each other really showed in their later performances.
And apparently, Patrick Stewart was fairly stiff in the beginning, but by the end, he was worse than any of them.
At the beginning.
But
He
yeah,
plays the script too well.
he's McFarlane's. He does okay. I mean, he doesn't. There's nothing wrong with his performance. I don't know that I would classify him as just he's amazing, but he does a good job with what he has, what he's doing, and so the writing and the cast sort of bouncing off each other is what makes Orville good. Uh,
Yeah. The characters are well developed and well conceptualized.
it's a well designed group dynamic.
Yeah.
Um, but okay, so it's basically early 21st century Earth. They land on or they get to Sargas 4. They've got two Union people, two Union researchers, yeah, on the planet who are doing research on this society, but they've gone missing. Dun dun dun.
Oh my.
Yeah. And you know they're on a we see that throughout this episode the entire society is basically
Run by social media.
yeah, it's run by social media by and you see people going you know you know like she initially goes and
Downvotes
downvotes.
somebody based on his eyes are weird.
Yeah, downvote. It's like you know just low information people that just it's like before you go blaring the whole thing is don't judge everything by social media and don't judge there's a lot of little messages in here. You got you know don't judge so quickly, you know, you know, and also, yes, people make mistakes in the past, so if they've changed their ways, okay, you don't have to necessarily forget it, but don't treat them that, don't turn them into a, don't shun them from society entirely.
Don't
Yeah.
turn them into a pariah because they made one stupid comment when they were a kid.
Yeah, and then you've got there's a little commentary on cultural appropriation in that whole mess. He's like, you can't wear that. That's a hat. That's our hat. That's a real. That's getting all mad about that. It's like it's a hat.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, and then how simple it is to uh,
Caught
to
up.
to get caught up, and also to uh, manipulate social media with the right things. And what the heroes are doing is they're going out and they're manipulating people, trying to to save his life. They're doing it for good reason, but they're still manipulating it, and how people can be manipulated with lies. And
Photoshop is a wonderful thing in that case.
Yep.
But
yeah,
how easily believed people, nobody really checks their facts. They just say, oh, I read this on YouTube. I watched this on YouTube. I read this on Twitter or Facebook. It has to be true. And they never really stop and think, wait.
Yeah, and because of these sorts of things, people judging people too quickly, people not looking up their facts and that sort of thing. It's why you have you have democracy is on a bit of a sliding scale. You've got you got pure democracy where everybody votes on everything. I mean, I don't know how far that's seeped into this culture. We don't know what their politics are like, but you got that end where it's mob rule and you just have just go for it, and then you got sort of the autocracy on this side where one person has has all this power and there's no will of the people involved, and then you got sort of what we got in the middle, which is constitutional republic. At least in the United States, you got a constitutional republic, and yes, the people have a say in who's in there, but those people are making the decisions because it's they're held to account, but they also have they can take their entire time getting to be experts in these sorts of politics and knowing having the arguments and having all that and just speak on our behalf so that we're not constantly just wheeling back and forth. We have protections for people, we have this and that, and it's just but it goes way too far to the to too many people trying to make decisions at once, and they don't really have all the information.
And they don't really care about the truth. They care about what is perceived as truth based on popular opinion.
Yeah. I was gonna say. I mean, let's see. So they go to this planet. They send down a few people. The Catan has to cover her face, her extra little flourishes on her face, with the hat and the bandage. So
Basically, like how Spock had to when they were back in the what was it, 70s, 80s, Earth, and he had to cover up his head with a hat.
yeah, so that luckily for Starfleet and Spock in particular, the preservers all sort of seeded the galaxy to have similar shaped people. So you could just cover up the ears and you're good. Also, it sounds like you're talking into a cup, Doc.
Oh, sorry, my phone. Is that better?
Nope.
Better?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah. So they get some vote badges, so that they can.
Oh boy, a badge.
Yeah.
Where are you guys' badges? Oh, we're not police officers.
Badges. Badges. We don't need no stinking badges.
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 Starship.
Wow, that's an old YouTube, old internet thing.
Newgrounds in its prime.
Actually, we got an albino black sheep too. I don't know if it was first or an albino black sheep, but
I
that's
think
where
it was albino black sheep.
Yeah.
But yeah, mushroom. Badger.
It's a snake.
Snake, it's a snake.
Classic Wheel.
Yes.
But yeah, we find out Catan broke up with her boyfriend over his dancing.
Grindy.
Yeah, too grindy. And
John, being a complete tool that he is,
starts grinding on a statue.
It's like, so how grindy was it? Was it this grindy? Was it this grindy? And of course, everybody pulled out their cell phones and like taking pictures, videos. And you offended the great statue of, I forget her name, one of the founding
Mela Griffindon.
Huh?
Mela Griffindon was the name of the historical figure.
It's like you've offended the great statue of. I've offended the great statue. I can't remember its name.
So, do you even know what Melanie Griffin did? Oh, she did a lot of things. Name one thing. She saved the whale forest?
Okay, you got lucky on that one.
Yeah, they get the grindy bits, and then his votes start to fall tremendously. And police show up and arrest him.
You were under arrest for being unpopular.
Yeah.
You monster!
Yeah.
Shut up, Mickey Mouse.
I was going more for.
Cut out. Oh well.
Sorry. I was going for Gingy there.
Anyway, so instead of like a public defender, we get a publicity officer. And
well, in, public opinion is the whole basis of your culture. Your public defender is your PR officer.
Yeah. And it turns out if you get more than 1 million downvotes, it's a crime against the state.
And you get lobotomized.
If your apology tour isn't successful.
Well, I mean, if you want to learn about apology tours, ask the great and powerful Trixie. She's got it down.
It's the great and humble Trixie now.
I thought it was the humble and penitent Trixie.
It's something like that.
Something and something Trixie, as long as it's Trixie.
Exactly.
And the words in question are positive.
Of course.
Yeah, if you use negative words, then she starts going a little crazy.
And turning everything into teacups.
Everything.
Teacup, 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 teacup. So the admiral explains that they can't extract Lamar. He has to, he's got to try to.
You did the crime, you pay the time.
He's got to at least try to get out of this without,
What? You want to use my tablet? Okay.
Hi, Jack.
Say hi.
Hi.
I'm
going to school.
He's going to school.
Cool.
Anyway, so
I need my blue dot. I need my blue dot.
Your blue dot?
Oh,
Oh, flu shot.
I know that too.
Okay. Bye.
Nephews are awesome.
So they so he
I
goes.
smacked him today.
Well, I mean, they can't always be awesome. Anyway.
Love me, Mom. I almost smacked him.
Anyways, he goes on the chat and completely blows the interview.
This PR agent was absolute crap.
Yeah, I mean, how is he supposed to know what he's supposed to be doing to nail the interview if he doesn't have, if the PR agent doesn't tell him what to do beforehand?
Yeah,
His PR agent did tell him stupid things that constantly backfired.
So there's the villain of the episode, the PR agent.
I think the villain at large was society, though it was, was more
yeah,
a distributed villain. The system was the villain, because of how flawed it was and whatnot. Yeah, they go back to try and find the two, Catan and Doc Finn continue to look for Lewis and Tom, the two Union guys. They try asking around, but that's where the cultural appropriation guy pops up, and they have to go try and fashion a new hat, and the
girl who thought that John was cute.
Yeah, and the barista's like, "Oh." Finn's like, "New problem." Mm-hmm. She helps them out. Tom's dead, but Lewis was
lobotomized.
Yes.
Let's just call it what it was.
Yeah.
It was They called it corrected, but it's basically lobotomized.
So, would that be an improvement?
No, because they thought it was an improvement because he's no longer offensive to society, but he's basically a complete space case now
Oh,
because he has no mental capacity anymore.
Um,
Finn takes him back to the ship to try to, undo the damage in case John gets,
yeah.
But she realizes that's not going to work. I can't undo this. If we can't rescue John, he's gone.
Yeah. So they fiddle with the master feed, which is essentially the Uber, Twitter, Facebook thing, and
The social media gods of this world, basically.
and manipulate the final vote and just barely save him from the fate.
2 points away from lobotomization, and he escapes.
Yeah.
yay!
As he's being released, he's like, "Oh, and screw you all, screw y'all. I'm a spaceman."
And but which brings up an interesting question about this. Okay, your points stay with you for life, apparently. What happens to these people that are near lobotomized but don't get lobotomized? Do they just walk around with like 9.9 million downvotes?
And what about the people who were lobotomized? Does that reset their count?
Do they just no longer have one? Because it's just like they can't do anything bad anymore, so what's the point in keeping track of them? What are you going to do? Lobotomize them again? You've taken away their ability to be bad, or at least to knowingly be bad, so you can't really fault them for for what they do at that point, because you've erased their ability to make decisions, make proper decisions. But yeah, after the barista helps them hack the feed, get past that, she's like, afterwards, when she goes back to her planet, she's just like, she's in there, there's another person up for, public voting, and she nearly downvotes him, but then stops and turns off the TV. It's like, okay, so she's thinking maybe I don't know enough about it, and condemning him is this isn't the right way of doing things. But
And maybe that one, it only takes one person to start the change. So maybe eventually she'll help bring about a revolution where the social media is not the sole deciding factor.
yeah. But
That's just crazy.
Yeah, and as scary as this seems, it's really, as much as it seems like, oh, this is some dystopian thing that could never happen, this is basically what they're trying to do in China. It's like if you say something bad, detrimental to the party, or you have unpopular opinions with the party. I mean, it's not always the people, but you get people to check in on each other, and oh, downvote that. That's that needs to be reported, so that you and all this sort of stuff. Like if you have a low score, they're trying to put in this system where everybody's got a social credit score, and if your score is low, they either have or they will soon. If you do something, if you say something wrong, out of line, you could get your social credit score dropped, and if you get that gets low enough, you could face actual penalties for saying something against the government, or not doing this or not doing that. You could, and yeah, it's like, because I was reading it from the wiki, and it's like citizens with low citizen scores will have their travel rights restricted, and let's speculate the basis of lowering or rising on score could include political opinions. Yeah, and it's incredibly that's incredibly unsettling. It's like here's this, oh, you said something against this person, oh, downvoted, your credit score's going down. It's just awful. But
Yeah.
Anyway, that's majority rule. We think we flew through that one pretty well, actually. Any last thoughts on majority rule?
Aside from the fact that John is a terrible dancer, not really.
Well, I mean, I never really considered grinding to be dancing anyway.
True. He was basically giving the statue a lap dance.
Yeah, no.
Never said John was the smart one.
I mean, this episode kind of proves it, huh?
Yep. I mean, he's not dumb by any account. He's actually very, very smart in certain aspects. But
just clearly not social ones.
Yeah, and also a terrible dancer.